my name is Hannah. Welcome back to my channel, Hannah Needs to Yell, and welcome back as well to the stupidest year of my life. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it was also the stupidest year of everybody else on the internet's life, because we have all spent way more time than I think we ever expected on Colleen Ballinger this year. Like, this was not on my 2023 checklist. So yes, that's right. This is another Colleen Ballinger video. It is the third of my, I guess you could call it a 3-part series-ish on Colleen Ballinger and all of her 2023 ridiculousness. I'm hoping this is the last video that I'm going to do that's solely dedicated to her. We'll see what happens. This video is essentially a part 2 of the last video that I published, and both of these were excerpted from a stream that I did on November 20th, a couple of days after Colleen came back to the internet uninvited. I recommend that you watch the previous video before you watch this one, because some of the things that I say at the very end of this video, for example, will make more sense in the context of having watched both of these. Also, sorry this video has taken a while to get out. Guys, I have been so sick. This is the sickest year I've ever had, and I keep getting sick over and over again, different types of sickness. And it's been a rough year. It's especially been a rough fall. So I'm just really hoping that when 2024 comes, a lot of things that have been in process during 2023 are going to really come into fruition in 2024. That's my goal, hope, plan, and dream and prayer. Thank you for those of you who have been sticking with me this year while things have been erratic. And here's hoping for something better in the future, but I'm also learning not to make promises along those lines. The first Colleen Ballinger video that I made, which I published, I think, in September-ish of this year, I promised that I was going to do a big comprehensive timeline breakdown video where I would assemble all of the different storylines of all of the different people who were speaking out about Colleen Ballinger's impact on them and put everything in chronological order, because I was very interested in seeing the overlaps of all of the different activities that were going on at various times. I figured that you may also be interested in seeing that as well, and I thought that it was a very interesting way of looking at this whole mess. However, after making that promise, October was absolutely awful. And then November was not much better. And then the end of November into December, I was sick. And now here I am. And I have not had the time, energy, resources that I needed to put that video together. And I don't foresee that changing anytime soon, unfortunately. So I have to go back on that promise. I'm sorry. I don't think that I can produce this video in a way that is healthy for me to go about it. My time is very limited. My spoons are very limited. I just don't have the resources right now to get it done. So my apologies to those of you who are really looking forward to seeing that. However, I do have a solution for you who are interested in the timeline of this all. Welcome to the Colleen Ballinger Snark subreddit, which is an absolute wealth of researched, fact-checked, receipt-based information about everything that Colleen and family have been doing wrong for the past multiple years. Not just this 2023 situation, but everything leading up to it as well. This was going to be one of my main sources for my timeline video if and when I put it together, because I was researching. So I highly recommend that you visit this subreddit for timeline information, especially if you scroll down here on the side. Over here it shows helpful links /FAQs. And these are, again, highly researched, fact-checked, receipt-based timelines of, as you can see, things that have gone on since 2007 that have been noteworthy to say the least. So another reason that I'm deciding not to do the timeline video is because I felt like what I was going to be doing was essentially regurgitating all of this work that other people had been doing on this subreddit. And I felt like that honestly wasn't particularly fair. I would rather just send you over to look at this stuff and in the process give them the credit that they deserve for the work that they have done. Each of these tabs links a whole different timeline. You can see it goes from 2007 up to 2022. And then this one that says summary of events is the 2023 stuff. And then it also includes the most relevant past events that relate to the 2023 events. And then there's also these general categories below the timelines about inappropriate things the Miranda character did, inappropriate things Colleen has done, animal mistreatment, an AMA mega thread with a lot of information in it, as well as a fundraiser summary, because that's right. The Childhood Cancer Fundraisers are their own source of issues. And I'm going to come back to that point in just a second, put a pin in that. So I hope that you check out these timelines to give the proper credit to the people who actually did the work putting this stuff together and who continue to do the work. They maintain receipts. They update in the comments of these timelines either further information or clarifying information. They run a tight ship on this subreddit, as they should, you know? So I confidently recommend that you use this as a resource to check out the timeline of it all. But now let's return to the Childhood Cancer Fundraiser thing I just mentioned. So as I said before, this video is a part 2 to my last video that I published. And as a part 2, I feel like I want to provide a couple of updates. In that part 1 video that I put out a couple weeks ago, I made a couple of observations about Kory. One of the observations I had made was that Kory DeSoto's new Instagram profile only had one link in the bio, and that link was the link to the December 2022 Childhood Cancer Fundraiser that Colleen Ballinger had put on last year. And I went to that link and I saw that the fundraiser was still active and available to be donated to. And I thought that was sketchy. And in that video, I briefly touched on how there is a lot of sketchiness and shadiness around the Childhood Cancer Fundraiser, especially because of the forum that Colleen Ballinger chooses to use to collect the donations, and how it's unclear if all of the money that is being raised during that fundraiser is being given to the organization that she's saying it is. And there also may be allegedly, possibly in speculation terms, some tax benefit that she receives by going through this organization as opposed to encouraging people to donate directly to the CHLA, which is usually what she raises money for, Children's Hospital of LA. So people have a lot of questions, and Colleen and Kory have provided no answers. If anything, they have just guilted and insulted people who have asked those questions. But of course, that was all before Colleen's big 2023 scandal and her taking some time away to grow and change. And now she's come back and she's on this mission to show us that she has changed and she is sorry that somebody may or may not have gotten hurt by what she did or did not do. Now that she's back on social media with the goal of proving herself as a reformed influencer, surely it's her goal to inform the public, to answer all of their questions in regards to what happens to their money that they give. Does she give all of it to the organization she's raising money for? Does she receive a tax benefit because of the way that she donates it in her name, allegedly according to documents that are out there? Is there any sketchiness going on, essentially? Or is it exactly as straightforward as she presents it to be? Surely, if she has nothing to hide, she would answer these questions, right? What do you think? Just let me know in the comments below what you think the answer is to that question real quick before I tell you. No. All that Colleen has recently said about Childhood Cancer Fundraisers is that she's holding another one this year on December 17th, using the same organization that she usually does, Fundly, instead of having people donate directly. I don't know why, because you can just set up a fundraiser. So if you're not doing that, it does look weird. For those of you who want transparency when it comes to your donations, I recommend that on December 17th, while Colleen Ballinger is holding her childhood cancer fundraiser that she refuses to answer questions about, instead of donating to that people simultaneously make direct contributions to the CHLA, St. Jude's Children's Hospital, other organizations that are specifically focused on working with children who are dealing with cancer and their family members. That way you can still make a difference in those people's lives and know for certain that your money is going where you intend it to go, which is not to Colleen Ballinger. So that's update number 1, which is that Colleen has remained opaque about this whole thing, other than we're just going to do another one and hope that people forget that there's been a scandal and repeated questions about this for over a year. The other update in this regard is that Kory DeSoto's Instagram bio now does not contain the link to that 2022 childhood cancer fundraiser that he and Colleen put on. Instead, interestingly enough, lo and behold, What is in his bio now is a link to thetrevorproject.org. Interesting choice. It just feels like a very virtue signal-y type of choice, and it also raises a lot of questions for me. Why was the previous fundraiser link in his bio for so long, even after Colleen had her whole cancellation? It seems that Kory's no longer working with her. Why was that link still in his bio? Was he receiving some sort of a benefit from it being there? Because if he wasn't, I don't know why it would still be there. And of course, that links back to the opaqueness and the confusion, allegedly, about where the money goes once people donate it to Colleen and Kory's Childhood Cancer Fundraiser. And then now that it seems that he has removed that link, what caused him to do so? I'm very curious. And why didn't he replace it with a link to this year's 2023 Childhood Cancer Fundraiser? While those are questions that I have, I also have a speculation that this removal of the link to last year's fundraiser is further evidence of a divide that has gone on between himself and Colleen. And I'm going to talk about that in this video coming up, which leads me to this video coming up. As I mentioned before, this video and the last video that I published are excerpts from a larger live stream that I did back on November 20th, responding to Colleen Ballinger's return video, and especially the first 3.5-ish minutes where she was doing her apology. And then the second part of that live stream, which is what I'm going to give you an edited version of now for the sake of clarity, honestly. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 3 topics in the Colleen Ballinger universe that I feel have gone overlooked and just need more awareness brought to them, more discussion of them, and more, dare I say, criticism, questions to be asked. The internet has spent a long time this year talking about Colleen Ballinger and her problematic behavior and manipulative and grooming and generally inappropriate behavior. And you know, she has rightly faced consequences for that shit. But there are others in her circle who also need to face some accountability. And so I thought it was worthwhile for me to upload a video specifically talking about those overlooked people and topics in the Colleen Ballinger universe, to bring more attention and awareness to these particular problems and ask, what are we going to do about it, YouTube? Just a final word before we get into today's video. Because I'm filming this on Friday, December 15th, I'm pretty sure this is going to be my last edited video for this year. For the most part, I'm going to try to rest for the rest of this year because I just keep exhausting myself and getting sick, and I don't know how. I don't know how. And I need to get my sleep back together because I don't want my insomnia popping back up and stopping my life again for months like it did earlier this year. I hope that you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and set your notifications to all so you can keep in touch with whatever I am able to put out for the rest of this year and moving into 2024, which again, I hope is going to be the blossoming of all of the seeds of health that I have planted this year, because I do not want this to continue. I'm just always tired. Anyway, in case I don't see you again before the end of 2023, thank you all so much for sticking with me this year. I know it's been a rough one for me, but also even rougher for a lot of other people in America and around the world. I see what's happening. My heart goes out to a lot of people in a lot of places for a lot of reasons. As we approach the end of 2023, I hope that we can count the blessings that we have had this year, take the good, leave the bad, move on from this year. So with that, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays here at the end of the year. I look forward to seeing you in 2024, and let's get into the rest of today's actual video. I have more in my outline of stuff that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about Erik and Colleen's relationship starting while Erik was Colleen's employee. I wanted to talk about Oliver's story. I wanted to talk about Kory having a lot more responsibility in this than people are giving him credit for, and I wish that more people would yell about him. Yeah, Adam has done a couple of videos talking about Kory. I was honestly surprised that there weren't even more. And there's been conversations on the Colleen Ballinger Snark subreddit about every now and then people will bring up the question of like, why aren't we talking about Kory more? And I think the general consensus tends to come down to because we're trying to focus on Colleen. Her name is on the channel. It's her character. He's working for her and with her for her, benefit. So I get wanting to focus on Colleen as the figurehead of this whole machine, because it's Colleen's family too. Trent Ballinger is a problem, is a huge problem. But I just like, remember the video that I made about Colleen Ballinger a couple months ago, and the clips that I showed of that gross fake kids show that they did that was like a satire of a kids show. Kory was the one coming up with a lot of those gross jokes and gross references in the moment.
If the hole's big enough, you can fit your whole hand inside.
Look at this nice long slit for the mouth.
Oh yeah, just rub your stick on the edge of my bun.
And let's pause for a second here. I'm not going to torture you by making you watch as many clips as I put in my previous video. They're gross. I don't want to do that to you. However, let me just make a quick point. This series, which they have called Sam and Labiya, I think I can't say the name of Kory's character out loud, shows Colleen playing an adult guy, I think, named Sam, and Kory is playing a little girl named Labiya. Yes, that is his impression of a small girl. So with that in mind, a lot of what happens in this series either is or refers to the SA or SH of Kory's character, the little girl, in a way that's similar to that series that Shane Dawson and the Fine Brothers did called Hey, It's Millie. And in both this show that Colleen does and that show that Shane Dawson and the Fine Brothers did, it's clear that the little girl in this situation is the victim of SA, and they're joking on it like that kind of behavior is funny, not dangerous. And in the process, in my opinion, they're normalizing that type of relationship between little kids and adults. And I think that there's a word out there for that. What word could that possibly be? It's on the tip of my tongue. I think it starts with a G and it rhymes with grooming. I'm going to show a couple of quick clips from Colleen and Kory's show as demonstrations of this. Skip ahead or mute for about 20 seconds if you want to avoid these clips.
You look beautiful.
It's chilly.
I can tell.
I like waking up in the middle of the night and finding something special in my box.
You know how much you love balls on your box.
I love balls on my box, and I love balls on my face.
Now, to be clear, I don't know for sure if this storyline for this character was Kory's idea, but he certainly seems to have no problem saying lines like this. And he seems to come up with a lot of the inappropriate behavior and lines that this character says, to the point where it almost makes Colleen break, because he's coming up with such funny, just hilarious, funny jokes about child essay. I couldn't sit through all those clips, and that's why my video got demonetized too, by the way. So thank you so much for that, Kory and Colleen. Also, YouTube, did you demonetize those videos on Colleen's channel? Just saying. Kory comes up with a lot of this shit, and it's gross, and it's offensive, and he's part of it, and he's been part of it for the whole 15 years. So I really do get particularly pissed. Remember with my Creepshow art coverage, I made sure that I mentioned Anthony's name a lot during that video, because he was just as involved as Shannon. Shannon was public, but Anthony was doing shit privately, okay? Same thing with Colleen and Kory. Kory is just as involved in a lot of this shit. And on that note, I want to take a quick second to look at Kory DeSoto's reaction to Colleen Ballinger and his and her content being called out for how exactly problematic it was, starting at the beginning of June of this year. I think it is worth noting, because I think it is very telling, if not suspicious, that once the call out started, Kory DeSoto deleted his Twitter account. Not some posts, the entire account. And shortly after that, he furthered his flight from social media by deleting his original Instagram account. That's right, not just deleted posts, like the whole thing. Trash. And in a similar time frame, Kory also deleted 80 YouTube videos. And thankfully, u/inevitablehippo683 cataloged 75 out of those 80 videos titles. And I'm not going to read all of these. I'm just going to scroll through them kind of quick like here. But just by glancing through these, I think you can see some problematic looking titles that might indicate that these videos have some problematic content within. To me, all of this indicates that Kory is part of the problem here, and he knows it, and he ran as fast as he could away from receiving any of the repercussions, dare I say the consequences, that were chasing after him. Kory had his own group chat called Kory's KLIT, okay, where he would send these love-bombing, manipulative messages to try to get his little group to go do shit.
Hey everyone, it's Kory. I just wanted to record a voice memo because I have a lot to say. But first of all, I just want to say that I love all of you. You all honestly mean so much to me.
Oh my god.
You have no idea. I know that it sounds weird because I'm a full-grown adult and some of you are younger.
Oh my god.
And blah blah blah.
Oh
but
my god.
I honestly think of all of you as my best friends. I don't have friends.
Oh
and
god.
I'm a loner and I'm a loser. My only friend is Colleen.
Oh my god.
And it's so comforting to go online and talk to you guys and feel loved and cared about because I love and care about all of you. And I trust you and with all my friends, I vent to you and when I'm angry and I feel better and I feel comforted by you all and I hope that I can do the same for you. But this whole thing with Krista has just escalated into something really bad.
Oh my god.
It's a lot, and I feel like Kory's not receiving the repercussions. I'm honestly shocked that he was able to get hired after apparently no longer working with Colleen. He's in some musicals over here on the East Coast. I don't know why his reputation wasn't bad enough, but I don't put it past theater people not to look into people's background before they hire them to be in their show. This is not a comment on all theater people. There are plenty of good theater people out there in the world. I just think that there is a toxicity to theater culture that I didn't have time to go into in this video. But as a quick example, look up James Barbour, who in 2008 pled and admitted to committing multiple dangerous crimes against children, including sexual crimes. But then in 2015 through 2017, he was chosen to play the Phantom in the Broadway production of The Phantom of the Opera, one of the most coveted and celebrated roles in all of musical theater. So that's what I mean. That kind of apathy from the leaders of the theater industry is a huge problem for me. And it absolutely has huge impacts on the culture of the art form as a whole. But I digress. Kory is a problem. If you're following Kory, unfollow his shit too. Don't forget, Colleen, in my opinion, could not have done everything that she's done and come this far in her career without Kory living with her, even while she was married, editing her videos and doing all of that stuff for her. The amount of content that she creates, if she was also editing all of it, she just wouldn't be able to do it. Colleen has 3 or 4 different channels that she runs with Colleen Vlogs, Miranda Sings, Miranda Vlogs, and then for a while, of course, she was working on the TV show with Netflix and all the various, the Instagram account, the Twitter, the TikTok, all the various branches of her universe. She can't, it's hard. Like I said before, it's hard. It's hard to do all that on your own. There is no way. It is not possible that she could have done all of that consistently for 15 years without somebody like Kory being just as dedicated to her success and putting in just as much time and work, to the extent that it kind of seems like he has never gone and started his own life and met his own partner and done his own, lived his own life. His life has been Colleen. I don't know why, but also it makes sense that of all people, it would be Kory, who's just as gross as her. He's not even a background character. He is the co-star of a lot of her content. I think that maybe what has happened is that Adam has the loudest voice, I think, out of everybody. He has the largest platform, I guess is what I mean. So I think that he has had less direct interactions with Kory than he has had with Colleen. So he has been able to talk the most about Colleen and not as much about Kory. Because if he's done 2 videos on Kory, he's done 40 videos on Colleen recently, let alone over the past few years. So that's the only thing that I can think of as to why like there's less attention toward Kory, because Adam is focusing his attention toward Colleen because I think that's who he's had more actual interactions with. But people need to talk about Kory because he's a big, gross problem. And he's just as old as Colleen, just as should know better by now, and just as problematic. The last thing I want to say about Kory, hold on. So remember how I said way back at the beginning that I have an alternative theory about Kory now that he has moved to like Massachusetts, I think it is, here on the East Coast, and he's doing theater. And yet, either way, Colleen is coming back to YouTube without him. Unless he's working remotely, he could be, but he's not going to be in her videos if he's living over doing touring theater in New England. Hi, me again, just popping in to say to my past self, yes, as it turns out, Kory and Colleen really, really seem not to be working together because, as I mentioned before, he removed the fundraiser link from his Instagram bio. And according to people who have actually been watching Colleen's new vlogs, which I have not because I don't have the mental, emotional energy for that. In Colleen's new vlogs, apparently, Kory is getting the Josh treatment. So I'm going to read what this post says. It speaks for itself here in the Colleen Ballinger Snark subreddit. U/GoldScience7177 says, it's clear Kory won't be at the fundraiser now, the one on December 17th. And Colleen hasn't mentioned him once in any of the vlogs, which I find fascinating, and it plays into the theory I'm about to tell you about. It's clear he's getting the Josh treatment. Now, Kory gets no free pass at all from me, but he was friends with Colleen for literally 2 decades, and now Colleen doesn't even acknowledge him anymore. Yikes. Yikes indeed. So this lack of Kory in Colleen's content and the lack of Colleen in Kory's new content, on Instagram at least, makes me think that there is definitely some kind of a rift, some kind of a divide that has gone on between the two of them. And I can't say I'm sad about it because I think that they enable each other to do this shitty behavior that they've been doing online for 15 years. But still, I think it's interesting to point out. And let's listen to me from 3 weeks ago-ish theorizing about why. So I think it's possible that Colleen may have convinced herself that Kory is the reason for her downfall. She knows, as well as I do, as well as many fandom members do, that Kory has been deeply intertwined with her content, with her channels, ever since the very beginning. He was by her side, enabling her, gossiping with her, making fun of fans with her, since the start, and only with this most severe of circumstances has he suddenly disappeared. So I think that that's because because do you see Colleen taking a lot of blame on herself in her comeback? Have we ever seen Colleen taking a lot of blame on herself for anything ever? She had to find somebody to blame because obviously something was wrong. And if she doesn't believe that it's herself, who else has been there all along? So I believe that Kory fell on the sword or was pushed onto the sword by Colleen. And that may be the only way Colleen was able to handle coming back, because in her mind, she can always lay the blame on somebody else. She's still the leader. She's still the captain of this ship. She's still kept him around for 15 years. Like, if that's really what she thinks, and I don't know, I'm speculating, I'm assuming, but if that's really what she thinks, she won't be able to ever accept responsibility for this because she'll always have somebody in her mind to shirk it off onto instead. And so this is just like another inroad of denial that she has dug herself down into. In my opinion, that's what I think. Let's do a little pivot to Oliver. I want to bring attention to this story. And again, like, I feel like at this point, people who are still paying attention to the Colleen story, or who are, like, for example, still watching this stream this far in, people who are this far into the Colleen lore know who Oliver is and know what happened with Oliver and Trent.
Meaning Trent Ballinger, Colleen Ballinger's brother, who she introduced to her audience through featuring him in videos and her live shows. Trent would also sometimes participate in group tiny chat video chats that Colleen would hold with her young fans. Sometimes Trent was invited Sometimes he was uninvited and still participated. Allegedly, these are the types of allegations that are out there about Trent.
It's just worth repeating. Evangelina Scoff recently interviewed Oliver for a video. The interview that they do is not a ton different from the actual tweet thread that Oliver posted, but there's some additional context that he adds, and also, hearing him talk about it in his own voice instead of things being typed out on Twitter. It's powerful. It's impactful. I'm very glad that Evangelina did this. Hats off, Evangelina. Great video. I hope that you guys watch it. But for the sake of, I don't want to, just show you Evangelina's video. I do hope that you go watch it. I'm going to go directly back to the source and look at the tweet thread of Oliver posting screenshots of what Trent said to them, because it speaks for itself. Let's say that. And I love the way that Oliver starts this off. Thread of things Trent Ballinger, a man in his 30s, sent to me when I was 13 to 14. This was from June 8th, 2023. And it's screenshots all the way. Gray would be Trent, obviously. Just don't share our conversation with anyone. Anything we talk about stays between you and I. Oliver, interested because of the connection to Colleen. That's the whole thing with people talking to Trent. They were not particularly interested in Trent, but they knew that Trent was connected to Colleen. They're networking, trying to get their way to have a relationship with Colleen because they're 13 to 14-year-old children. And if they can be friends with someone they look up to, that seems like a really good, fun idea, right? So Oliver responds, "Oh, okay, don't worry." Oliver tweets, I wish I would have known how wrong it was at the time. Exactly. Not aware. Because 13 to 14. Young and dumb. I'm told not to talk to people under 18, Trent says. I do so just to spread positivity. Oh, I don't see anything wrong with talking to people that are under 18. Who said that? And Trent says family. So here we see some evidence from Trent's own, mouth, essentially, that his family, which includes Colleen, potentially, Rachel, Jessica, Chris, their parents, who knows. His family wants him to stop talking to people under 18. So by the time of talking to Oliver, Trent was doing it enough that it had been a problem, that his family was telling him to stop. So he had been doing it. Oliver says, and I think Evangelina says in the video that they did together, that Oliver is not the only one that Trent has talked to under the age of 18, and that makes sense. Just based on just this text message, Oliver, he knew my age. Trent says, you don't look bi, so I'm in head tilts. Oh, I don't? But yeah, I think I am. Why do you think you are? IDK, I just don't think I'm straight, I guess. Just be honest with yourself. You're young, you don't have to label yourself yet. You are very right. Yeah, I don't really want to completely label myself yet, but I guess the closest thing I am to is being bi. Trent, why you think that? Curious why. I don't know. I guess why would I think I'm straight? At this point, I just don't really know what I am, but I'm questioning. How old are you? 13. As of August 3rd, 2018, 13. Yeah, I wouldn't question it yet, Peapod, which is the nickname. We'll get to that. Trent ends with, night, don't let the sexuality bite. Oliver says, It's okay. You're going to grow up doing what you love and probably fade away from me. Weird that Trent feels they have a strong enough connection that Oliver could fade away from, Like I said, it speaks for itself. It speaks for itself. Trent, P.S. You should come to the Orange Show. Oliver, OMG, I wish I could. My mom said I can't go to California. Why not? Because she doesn't really like California. I don't know why. I love it, and I've always wanted to go. And it's really far since I live in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Hello. What's wrong with Cali? My mom really hates traffic. Trent's inviting people children from across the country to come to the show. And then surprised when they can't make it. Yeah, but when I'm an adult, I really want to fly out to California by myself. How long do you have to go? The earliest I could go would be summer of 2023. I'll be 18. Oliver just turned 18. Happy fucking 18th birthday to Oliver. The summer of 2023, this year. This is what he had to go through. But it might have to be 2024 or later, sadly. And then there's suspicious face or a thinking face. I don't know. How old will you be? In November? Yep. Almost 14 at that point. 4 more years to go. Counting down to when Oliver will be able to transport himself to California. He was always sending pics of me to me, especially this pic. I think I made you pop out more, Peapod. Sorry. Some of these I might not enjoy reading out loud. To think of those pics being in his camera roll now. So it's this one where he has like the sunglasses, and then this one with Peapod, the nickname that Trent gave him. Oh, and let's not forget the time he told me I looked like his ex-girlfriend, because that's normal to tell a 13-year-old. You kind of look like my last GF in that GIF. So there's a GIF from Trent to Oliver. So at some point, they must have been video chatting, or there must have been some video communication where Trent could record and create a GIF. Weird. Again, Oliver is at this point, may have turned 14 by now. If I wanted to take a break from Twitter, he wasn't having it. Sorry if I don't respond that fast. I'm trying to kind of take a break from Twitter. Why? IDK just felt like a break might be kind of good for me, or just limiting my time on Twitter. Nah. I love that Ollie is so like mental health aware at like 14, 13 years old, and Trent just isn't having it. But like, good for Oliver, knowing that there are benefits to taking a break from Twitter, because you wouldn't do these things. OMG, you still have that? Yeah, I would. I just think it's best for me to limit my time on Twitter for just a bit, not more than just a few days, just kind of for a refresher and just for my mental health, I guess. Like, he's saying, I'm having a hard time right now with my mental health. I need a break. And Trent's like, no, you can't. I'd also be scared every night I'd accidentally forget not to tweet after I told him goodnight, because if he saw me on Twitter, he'd feel like I had lied to him. It was very stressful, a little bit stalky, a little bit. He never wanted me to go to sleep. There's examples of that. This thread is linked in my document that is linked in my description of this stream, and it will be in the edited video version of this too. You can look through all of them in detail, or if you just go to Oliver's Twitter, it's pinned, I think, right near the top. But I think I'm not going to go through all of these in detail because, again, they're weird and creepy, and I feel weird saying them out loud. Exactly. In what world is a grown man talking about a 13 and 15-year-old having sex okay, and to the 13-year-old? So those are some that I'm not going to read because they're weird. They're all weird, though. And, like, poor Ollie had to read them at age 13. What are you like in person? IDK, kind of similar to how I am on the internet, with my internet friends. But if it's with people at dance or just kids I don't know, I'm usually anxious and awkward, lol. So the opposite sometimes. With me, how do you think you'd be around me? If you're doing South California, come hang out with me, lol. I probably will in a couple years, but I'll be going with my dad. How old will you be? At least 14, most likely 15 to 17 though. Oh, yeah. I want to move to Southern California when I'm an adult though. LA or San Diego or San Francisco. Somewhere in Southern California. So LA or SD, San Diego. Hey, you are cute. Just the possibility that somebody might be moving to Southern California in like 4 to 8 years. Time to flirt. So there's more. You can text me anytime. We'll listen to you without judgment. You mean DM? Yeah, haha, thanks. No, text, there's Trent's phone number if you need someone to talk to. And if Twitter is not there and just need someone there and know school and life is tough. Hey, I really appreciate it, but I don't feel like it's appropriate for me to text you, and I don't think my mom would want me to either. I'm really sorry. So Oliver, the, at this point, 14-year-old, is setting the boundaries with Trent, the 30-something-year-old. And so there's more examples of just generally creepy behavior. Sending pictures of romantic moments, we'll say. He would call me his little Peapod, not sure where it came from. He would also DM me at random times with Peapod-themed images. It seemed like he was always thinking of me even when we weren't talking. Says Peapod a million times in these. He always seemed really concerned about my sexuality. I feel like this isn't the best example, but I think I already posted other screenshots, which he has by now. Did you tell your mom? I probably will tomorrow. Why do you think you're gay? IDK, because I think I am. I don't think you are yet, lol. It would be the same if I were to ask a straight person why they're straight, or why they think they are. I know that. So, such boundary crossing behavior. It should be obvious that you shouldn't be asking these kind of questions to a kid that you don't know. Even to your own like family members, like a younger cousin or niece or nephew or something, it would still be weird. But especially a stranger. I'm just seeing you as a young girl who hasn't got there yet for big labels. I'm not really labeling myself yet. I just want to tell my mom I think I'm not straight. IDK what I am, though. Well, it doesn't hurt to communicate with mom that early on. Unless she goes, you're not my daughter, and kicks you out on the street. But I think you're fine. It's not like you're bringing a girlfriend in the next day. Yeah, I think my mom wouldn't react negatively or anything. I'm still really nervous to tell her, but we're so close. I feel like I should. And that's good. I'm glad that Oliver has a good relationship with his mom. I feel like Trent is trying to like imply some division that's not even necessarily there. Like I said, it speaks for itself. It's obviously inappropriate behavior. Do you want to have your own kids? Maybe. I always thought I want to have kids. Why are you talking about having kids? His, I'm sure, unsolicited opinions on Oliver cutting their hair. Something about Colleen saying something about vaginas, which on brand. Sending innuendo pictures. Yeah, I think that's the end of it. And then this is proof with them scrolling through the screenshots to show where they got it from and that they're live screenshots, not edited. I don't even feel like I can fully speak to the depths of the impacts of that kind of relationship other than like it's clearly some form of grooming and it's clearly messed up and it's clearly gross and it's clearly inappropriate. And the fact that the family knew that this was going on, first of all, the fact that Trent was doing it, Trent needs to be held accountable, especially because it seems like Oliver is not the only person who had that kind of relationship, that kind of interactions ongoing with Trent. You know, toward the beginning of that tweet thread, he had been told by his family not to talk to kids. And yet he continued. These are the earliest dates, July 18, 2018. He admits right at the start he shouldn't be talking to him. His family has told him not to do this. He's gonna do it anyway. Don't tell your parents. Trent is responsible for himself in his 30s, so he needs to be held accountable. I also think something needs to be said for the fact that like people would not have been trying to talk to Trent if he was not Colleen's brother. So Colleen can make a statement saying, hey, everybody, please don't talk to Trent. Colleen can say something to Trent. Colleen can block him out of some accounts or something. I don't know. I don't know if the family had the ability to like take control of his stuff and block him from stuff. I don't know. It's Trent's fault that Trent did these things. Also, I think that his family knowing anything and everything that they did to make it easier or to turn a blind eye is also bad. It's also very, very, very bad, and they need to face consequences for that. Trent already is not the most public figure in the family, but he has found ways to use even the mildest of publicity and public recognition for his own benefit, his own advantage, taking advantage of little children for his own purposes and seemingly pleasure, apparently, in my opinion. Something's got to happen here. I don't know exactly what's right, but I appreciate Oliver telling his story and sharing these screenshots. Trent was working so hard to enmesh himself in Oliver's life, and it's so gross. Yeah, he was working overtime. Like, he seems to have had like some sort of an obsession with Oliver specifically, which is what makes it particularly impactful that Oliver is the one who spoke out about this. That level of enmeshment, that parasocial relationship can really does something to people. We've talked on this channel a million times about parasocial relationships and about the influencer-fan relationship and how to fans, it's like a boss to employee relationship. So if Oliver felt that kind of a relationship with Trent, and similarly, they would have felt that relationship with Colleen as well and was, networking with Trent as a potential way to get to meet Colleen. But Trent is also an influencer for young Oliver back, 5 years ago. It was brave of him to say no to Trent about things. It was brave of him to hold his ground to the freaking barrage of questions from Trent. It was brave of Oliver to bring up boundaries and say, I don't think this is okay, and I don't think my mom would like it either. And don't you notice, just like in the Colleen conversation, when Adam talks about going to visit her in Dublin at that tour stop and her like freaking out about the fact that his parents, I don't know how she thought he was going to get there, but like his parents were going to be also with him, and that like completely flipped a switch and like changed the whole situation, and they only met for like 5 minutes and then she abandoned him in Dublin. Similarly, Trent seems to freak out a bit as soon as Oliver brings up his mom. I don't think my mom would like us talking. They weren't talking anymore after that. That's a red flag too. Trent has got to face some consequences. I wish that the internet yelling about it was enough to make that happen, and I don't think it is. At least we all can know. People will be able to be more educated in making their choices about whether or not to consume content from this family, respond to any messages from Trent. That's what we can do in this moment, is educate. There's just one more topic that I wanted to discuss that I mentioned before. So, Colleen's relationship with Erik Stocklin. They're now married, of course. I think the most scandalous part of Colleen and Erik's relationship thus far has been the fact that, based on publicly available information, it is clear to see that Colleen and Erik started seeing each other while Colleen was married to Joshua David Evans. And that is a scandal. But what is also scandalous to me, in my opinion, is the fact that on that timeline, that would have meant that Colleen and Erik would have started seeing each other when Erik was Colleen's employee. And that's a huge power imbalance issue. And I really don't like it. I have a really long version of talking about this laid out in my notes. But I also don't think that I need to elaborate on why that's a problem. Please tell me that you know that it's a problem for somebody to start like flirting with their employee and to be wanting to date their employee. The power dynamic there should be clear, especially considering that the employer in that situation, Colleen, has a vast power differential with Erik, who was a working actor at the time, and Colleen was producing and starring opposite Erik.
All while being a millionaire YouTuber with a huge, very passionate fandom.
Sorry, I didn't lay out any foundation for this. Once upon a time, Colleen had a Netflix show called Haters Back Off, and Colleen played Miranda Sings in that, and then Erik Stocklin played Patrick, her best friend / neighbor / became her romantic interest in the show. Haters Back Off had 2 seasons, and I believe they started kind of quietly seeing each other while Colleen was still with Josh during the filming of the first season. It's not like Erik was just hired by Colleen as she was the producer and he didn't have to interact with her. Like, he had to interact with her every time he filmed because he was playing Colleen / Miranda's best friend and neighbor and romantic interest. So it really does seem like she picked him, used her power to hire him specifically to play the role that she was going to play a romantic part with. And then she initiated a real life romance with him during the filming of the on-screen romance after she picked him to play the part. Him saying no in that circumstance carries a lot more risk than in another situation if they had just met at a bar, just so happened to both be actors, and just so happened to connect and whatever. Also, if Erik was there during the divorce from Josh, Erik would have seen the power of Colleen's stand-up and what they could do to somebody that Colleen fell out with. I'm speculating a lot here, but I'm just saying, especially if Erik saw what Colleen and her stand-up did to Josh, if he ever was thinking of leaving Colleen, I think seeing that would make it a whole lot harder to choose to do so. Like the havoc that the stand-up wreaked on Josh's mental health, the harassment. Not everybody wants to go through that if they're comfortable enough and happy enough living a decent life with a millionaire YouTuber. It's already hard to say no to your boss about anything. It's additionally hard to say no to your boss about something as vulnerable as like a romance. It's additionally hard to say no to your boss after seeing the havoc they can wreak in somebody else's life who said no to her. I do hope and pray that he's very happy with her. That would be the best situation, and I hope that that's the case. But I can't get over the beginning of this relationship being very clearly weird. I cannot help but wonder If Erik had not wanted to date Colleen, would he have been able to say so at the time? Would it have risked him losing his job? It doesn't seem like Colleen would accept no for an answer, in Sammy's opinion, and I have to agree. Have you seen how Colleen acts toward people who tell her no? I'm speculating a lot. And like I said, I do hope that they are just the happiest couple on planet Earth. But I do not like how this relationship started. And it looks unprofessional. If anybody's being opportunistic in this, I think it would be Colleen, because she was using her power to capture some easy prey. With that being said, I think that if Erik was currently completely unhappy in that relationship, the time for him to have left her would have been this summer, when the public tide was against Colleen, would have been the safest time for him to get out. So it is totally possible, like I said, that they're happy as clams and they just have the happiest little marriage. And I do hope that that's the truth. Just still don't like how it started, and I think that more people should talk about it, because it is an HR nightmare, in my humble opinion. So we have all of this information, right? We have all of this knowledge of like the bad shit Colleen has done, her ongoingly bad response. We have all this bad information about Trent. We have bad information about Kory. We have, some discomfort about the Erik and Colleen relationship, or at least I do. So what do we do? What do we do with this? I think that truly at the end of the day, where you can find sympathy for Colleen, it cannot outweigh the clear, abounding evidence of the wrongs that she has committed against many, many people, and her lack of willingness to address that. And the impact of her not being willing to address that truly, fully, publicly. And like I said, I do think that there's legalities around that. I think that she puts herself in legal risk if she denies doing stuff. I think she also puts herself at a legal risk if she more thoroughly discusses what she is admitting to. So strategically, I understand why she would not choose to do either of those things publicly, and why she's just trying to kind of put her head in the sand and just keep moving with what she's doing. We'll see how long it lasts. We'll see if she can make that kind, positive, inclusive space on her channel that she's always been publicly pretending that she's trying to make while she's in group chats online talking shit about her fans. Sure, Colleen, keep pretending that that's what you're doing. But we don't have to forget everything that we've learned. I want all of you to come to your own conclusions, and I don't think it's appropriate necessarily to go harass or, send hate. Don't give her that attention. Don't give her that energy. Don't waste it on somebody who's attention hungry and who's only going to continue hurting herself and others through remaining online. But I think it is fair to leave constructive criticism and then detach yourself and go. We have given her hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of commentary videos explaining why what she has done is wrong. And she gave us a 16-minute toxic gossip train grown-up tantrum. And then she gave us 3.5 minutes at the beginning of this vlog. She gave us 20 minutes of talking about it at all. 17 minutes of complaining. 3 minutes of pretending to care. Just because she has made a very minimum apology, we don't have to give her maximum forgiveness in response, if any. The best thing we can do and the most that we can do really is to know what the truth is and make educated decisions about who we're supporting or not, because our support so directly translates into money in these people's pockets. I think it's going to be at least a very long time before she returns to the status that she was at, if ever. I think the only thing to look out for now is what companies are dumb enough to sponsor her. That'll be some people to call out. It is okay to change your opinion when you find out new information. At least we know now. At least we know. At least we know everything about her and her family and what's really going on behind the scenes, so we can make decisions accordingly. That is something productive that has come out of this whole entire experience. As exhausting as it has been, it's exhausted me and I'm not even in it. Like Adam, Ella, Becky, Oliver, as exhausting as it has been, I feel like it has been worthwhile and it has been productive. So I hope that people can take solace in that and can heal and can move forward. That is my ultimate prayer. And that extends to Colleen. Colleen has some healing to do, and I hope that she can. I don't think that staying online is going to help that happen, but I hope that she can. I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like this stream, subscribe to my channel, blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much. I'll see you again soon. Peace be with you always. Bye.